With inspiration from a special visitor, the Celtics took care of the visiting Wizards last night. Tonight on Celtics Warm Up, we'll review the highlights on the court, and Paul Devlin reports on the latest between the coach and the point guard off the court. Tonight, the Celtics play up in Toronto, and John Holt went north of the border this week to meet the prize Raptor rookie. And speaking of the Raptors, guess who leads the NBA in three-point field goals? All that, plus JoJo White with breakdown on tonight's Celtics Warm Up. Celtics Warm Up, brought to you by your New England Ford dealers, proud to be the official car and truck of the Boston Celtics. And by Gillette Mach 3, the world's first triple blade razor. Good evening to you and welcome once again to Celtics Warm Up. So glad to have you along with us. I'm Doug Brown, taking you up to game time at the Air Canada Centre up in Toronto, where tonight the Celtics are hoping to break through this year against the Toronto Raptors. It's the third and final meeting this season between these two teams, and Toronto has won the first two. Tommy Heinsohn and Bob Cousy will have the call of tonight's game coming up at the top of the hour. Well, last night at the Fleet Center, the Celtics and their fans saw a major reason for the team's past successes and what they hope will be an indicator of the team's success in the future. A rare Fleet Center appearance for Big Bill. Bill Russell. A large ovation ensued. Early on in this ball game, the Wizards hit the Celts with an 8-3 run out of the gate. Otis Thorpe with the tip-in. He had 17 points and 11 boards. But the Celts come back. Dana Barros. Nice pass to Pierce. Gets fouled. Missed the free throw. But the Celts down 2. Second quarter. Ron Mercer will go coast to coast with the spin and the shot. The Celtics lead by 6 at halftime. Wizards take a brief lead early in the third, but then the Celts put the hammer down. Mercer with the steal and jam on a 12-1 Boston run that gave them the lead for good. Late third period, Dana Barros with the quickness. Celts lead by 12 after 3. And then early in the fourth, it's Barros again, who had a fine ball game with the steal at center court. He will feed Tony Battie for the easy J. And the Celtics run the lead up as high as 27 points before they finally settle for a nice, comfortable 108-87 victory over the Wizards, with 5 Celtic players in double figures. Paul Pierce, 23 points, 8 boards. Mercer with 17 points and 5 steals, chipping in with the defense. Antoine Walker, 15 points and 10 rebounds. Mitch Richmond had 19 points to lead Washington. Much happiness ensued in the Celtics locker room after the game, starting with Paul Pierce.
Teammates did a great job looking for me. They knew I was hitting some shots, going inside. I was feeling good. I was feeling confident I could score also on the outside. But today was a total team effort, and I'm really happy with our defense and the way we played that one.
Very excited about the victory, very excited about the fact that we're playing with so much energy right now, and we've got a very rough schedule coming up, so it was nice to be able to play the entire team going up to Toronto.
We have to build off this. We just can't win one game, lose 3, win 1. We got to keep playing hard, and somehow, I hope we do that to try to finish off the season as a plus.
It would indeed be a plus if they could finish the season with some more wins. And speaking of Kenny Anderson, if you were looking for any obvious signs of trouble between Anderson and Coach Rick Pitino last night, nothing doing. The two men have been doing everything they possibly can over the last few days to tell everybody who would listen that this is all a non-story, that it was just a minor incident, nothing that will cause any future problems, no reason for anyone to panic, that the coach is happy with the player and vice versa. Well, then why are so many people just not buying it? Still last night, all was quiet. Anderson picked up 2 first-quarter fouls and didn't quite get his usual minutes, which, if you'll recall, was apparently what this whole thing was about in the first place. Anderson had only 2 assists in the ballgame. He did have 3 turnovers and scored 14 points. So, is everything back to normal now? Well, for the answers, we turn to Paul Devlin.
Rick Pitino and Kenny Anderson put on their happy faces and said all the right things, trying to convince anyone who'd listen that everything is all right between coach and player.
Kenny's a wonderful guy. He's playing very hard for us right now, and it could have been any other player in the team that did what he did.
What Kenny Anderson did was break a team rule. The Celtics point guard made it a point of telling his coach how unhappy he was about his playing time against the Nets. Neither would elaborate on what was said, but both agreed it shouldn't have happened.
It wasn't anything bad. It wasn't. I didn't swear. I didn't say anything negative. I didn't think. It wasn't. What I said. I think it was. The whole thing.
It's motive, it's timing, and what he told me was he's just frustrating with losing, and that's all. It was not directed in any disrespectful way, and I said that's 100% fine with me.
If everything was fine and nothing really major happened, then why did Pitino leave Anderson in Boston instead of fining him or benching him against the Magic?
I just wanted him to reflect on something that happened. It was extremely minor, but it can't go on. We said 3 weeks ago that this would not be tolerated.
That's just frustration that goes along with the season, and you say things, do things that you really don't mean at the time, and you're like, man, too late for it, though. You just, you suffer the consequences and you deal with it.
This has been a tough year for Kenny Anderson all the way around. Things got started badly when he blew off that kid's request for an autograph when the lockout ended. Then a few weeks ago, reports surfaced that Coach Pitino didn't like coaching Kenny Anderson. Well, they put those things to rest, and Kenny Anderson said all the right things, including praising his coach.
I love playing for Rick Pitino. I love his character. I love his personality. That's just that's ludicrous for somebody to say that. Like, oh, he doesn't like Kenny Anderson, and I don't like the system and all that.
Anderson returned to the starting lineup last night against the Wizards, scoring 14 points in 27 minutes of work. For the Celtics point guard, it was business as usual. For Rick Pitino, it was time to turn the page.
I knew Kenny would play well either way. What I wanted Kenny to do is just reflect on what we need as a basketball player, and that's it. It could have happened to anybody.
It was just business as usual. I just wanted to come in and do what Coach asked me to do, and just sacrifice for the team, whatever that may be.
For Celtics Warm Up, I'm Paul Devlin.
Well, the Celtics take it up to Toronto tonight, and that means not only the rookie Vince Carter, but also the veteran Dee Brown, who is playing a major role right now for the Raptors. More on that when we come back. And welcome back to Celtics Warm Up. Celts and the Raptors coming up at the top of the hour. Well, it may be hard to believe, but Dee Brown is now playing in his 9th NBA season. He's now 30 years old. He played the first 8 of those seasons with the Celtics, of course, before he was traded up to Toronto last year in the Kenny Anderson deal. His initial reaction to the trade was disappointment as the last on-court link to the Bird-McHale Parrish era, and after surviving the team's bottoming out years, Brown was looking forward to being part of the renaissance of the franchise as well. But instead, he's now a big piece of the puzzle in Toronto. He's the 6th man for the Raptors basically right now, averaging almost 28 minutes a game and heading for his best statistical season in the last 4 years. So what does he think now about the trade that sent him away from Boston?
Coach Pitino, he got all the players that he wanted there. Those are all his players. And he wanted to bring, younger guys in. Now he's saying he needs veterans. I don't wish any bad luck on the Celtics. I was there for a long time, but I'm glad the position I'm in now. I'm very comfortable in this position, and I'm excited about the way the team's going.
Well, you can win a bet or two with this trivia question. Check this out. Here are the leaders in the NBA this season in three-point field goals made, and Dee Brown is on top of the list, shooting better than 40%. If he holds this pace, he'll have his best three-point shooting percentage in his career. Hardaway, Anderson, Jason Williams, Reggie Miller, and all the rest, all looking up at Dee Brown. But while the Celtics were beating the Wizards last night at home, the Raptors were resting. They played at home against the Miami Heat on Wednesday, and they rested in that game too. Watch out, P.J. Brown of the Heat putting a headlock on Vince Carter, and Vince got a little perturbed. Doug Christie moves in as a peacemaker. Minutes later, Carter's going to come right back down the paint, and he jams over Alonzo Mourning, and he says, I can get in here with the big guys. He had 8 points in the first quarter, but none in the second and third. Carter finished with only 10 points, an off game for him. Battle on the boards, Mourning with the rebound and jam. His 21st double-double of the year, 20 points, 13 boards, 7 blocks for Zoe. A hair-raising night for Charles Oakley and the Raptors. Oakley, by the way, source of a little controversy up there after turning down a multi-year contract offer from the Raptors. The Heat win it by 22 on Wednesday night. The Raptors have their 9-game home winning streak snapped and their 6-game overall winning streak. You saw the numbers for Morning. Carter just 3 for 12 from the field. Tracy McGrady with a double-double. Toronto shoots less than 30% from the field. And afterward, Coach Butch Carter talked about why his team wilted against the Heat.
I think from the whole franchise standpoint, that we see where we're at as a franchise, we don't have the physical stamina to fight in Miami as of this day. Are we light years ahead of where we were a year ago or 6 months ago? Absolutely.
Butch Carter hoping to take his team to the playoffs for the first time in franchise history. The veterans are really helping in that regard. And so is the rookie. John Holt goes one-on-one with Vince Carter, who is looking forward to another head-to-head matchup tonight with Paul Pierce.
That's what I look forward to. Great competition versus him, and I mean, it could be a rival for a long time. And we just go head-to-head, and just good things can happen and give the fans a show.
And welcome back to Celtics Warm Up. Celts and the Raptors coming up in just a little bit. Well, coming into this season, the Celtics were 9-2 against the Raptors since they came into the league. This year, the Celts are 0-2 against Toronto, losing the season opener at the Fleet and then a second time up in Toronto back on March 7th. Now, in that game, the Celtics got blown out on the scoreboard, trailing by as many as 24, and they were pounded on the boards, getting out-rebounded by 22. And in an individual battle of note, Raptors standout rookie Vince Carter got the better of Celtics standout rookie Paul Pierce, outscoring him by 19, although I believe that's only 13 Canadian. But that was before Pierce's ankle injury. Pierce was the NBA Rookie of the Month for February. Carter won the award in March. Carter, of course, a big reason why the Raptors may be headed to the playoffs. John Holt is back from Toronto, where he had a chance to visit with the Raptors rookie.
And this guy's the big buzz up north, no doubt about it. And when it comes to Toronto heavyweights, Vince Carter may not be bigger than the CN Tower, but the rookie phenom is pretty darn close. And don't be surprised if any day now he leaps the tower in a single bound. Thanks to the former UNC Tar Heel and his Raptor teammates, basketball has begun to mean something in Canada as Carter provides Boston's Paul Pierce with his stiffest competition for Rookie of the Year. Pretty impressive, eh?
With the flair of Dominique Wilkins, the pedigree of Michael Jordan, and dreams inspired by the play of Dr. J, Vince Carter may single-handedly convince the NBA to bring back the slam dunk contest.
Wow! I used to tape dunk contests. I have them on tape, make sure I had a tape, and so I could tape it and just look at it. And I mean, I have dunk contests from back in the day that I've taped, and I still watch them and just learn and just pick up moves and I use them.
A new generation now picks up on Carter's moves, and they'd be wise to soak in a few style lessons while they're at it. You won't find tattoos or earrings on Vince Carter. That's not typical of young NBA players, but either is Vince's character. The former drum major never fit the conventional jock mold in high school, and now that he's composing symphonies in the NBA, he's begun to do the near incredible. Make the hockey-crazed city of Toronto pay serious attention to a game that doesn't involve ice.
I guess the fans enjoy my flair and just the things I bring here to the team. Of course, my dunks and stuff. And I just play hard and I cater to the fans. I mean, I feed off of them. So I kind of can feel them and they're kind of feeling me, and it's just something great.
Something that'd be even greater should the Raptors make their first ever playoff appearance this season. A feat that would likely coincide with Carter winning Rookie of the Year honors.
What's your reaction when people say he's the favorite for Rookie of the Year?
Well, it's tough because once you're the favorite, you have to live up to it. I mean, this is a great opportunity and a great award for a rookie to come in and have an impact on the league, but it's a competition that I enjoy. I mean, guys like Paul and Jason Williams, I think we're still throughout all this, and besides this Rookie of the Year, I think we're pretty supportive, at least I am. I'm pretty supportive with the other guy's success, and I like to see him do well. because, I mean, I think we were friends before all this happened.
Vince and Paul Pierce have known each other since they competed as high school All-Stars. And while Carter got the better of Pierce in one of their first showdowns as professionals last month, scoring 26 while holding his fellow rookie to just 7 points, he's resigned to the fact that before this mano-a-mano tale ends, it'll be full of individual victories for both sides.
Oh, I love this game. He's a great person. The way he plays is phenomenal. He plays hard. He has a smooth type of game. It's hard to guard him because you never know. He always keeps you on your toes. And he's tough to play.
One rookie against another. Pierce blocks that shot.
Oh, he's been phenomenal. You know, his enthusiasm out there for that ball club, he's really done a great job in leading them to some wins. They're, you know, a playoff-bound team if they keep it up the way they're going. And, you know, he's been tremendous this year.
I enjoy playing against him. He makes me better. He makes me have to work hard. And I mean, that can be just something that can go down in history. I mean, the two of us are going against each other because when I step on the floor, I mean, that's my friends, but I want to make him better. And I'm sure the same.
In comparing Pierce and Carter, it was Paul who got off to a more prolific start, but Vince, who has been more consistent. The stats are pretty comparable. Yet, Nets guard Stephon Marbury told 68 Sports the other night the Rookie of the Year race isn't even close. Carter is so far ahead in his mind. Much like Michael Jordan's career at UNC, Carter came into the pros. He increased his scoring once he left Chapel Hill, flourishing in the one-on-one world of the pros. So far, so good for Vince Carter.
I might tend to agree with Marbury. That injury really hurt Pierce.
It did.
Thanks, John.
Okay.
Appreciate it. We're coming up next with Breakdown, and JoJo White will be here to talk about the Celtics bench. Celtics got a big lift off the bench last night, especially from Dana Barros. Time for Breakdown now on Celtics Warm Up. JoJo White is here once again and ready to go. That was something last night at the Fleet Center with Bill Russell there. Now, you just missed playing with Russell. You came out of Kansas in '69, which was the year he retired.
69 was when I came in, and Bill retired in '69, so I never got a chance to play with this great warrior.
But you have had a chance to get to know him over the years, obviously, and there are so many great Bill Russell stories around. Is there one that you can share that is fit for family television?
There were tremendous stories about Bill Russell. I know Red used to always tell this one story when I was a rookie. I used to hear about it. The team would never take the floor until Bill used the bathroom. And you can be out on the floor, and Russ will remember, or somebody will remember, Russ never used the bathroom, so the team would go off the floor until Russ used the bathroom, and they come back on.
You get a little jaded sometimes, I think, those of us who can think back to years ago and what players were like years ago. You can get a little jaded about maybe what the players are like now versus what they were before. Maybe they're not hungry enough, you know, they're coddled too much, they make too much money, et cetera, et cetera. It seemed, just kind of reading between the lines, watching and reading the papers this morning, that some of these Celtics players were really affected by having Bill Russell come into the locker room.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's has so much wisdom and knowledge, and winning 11 championships in 13 years has to help too. I'm sure they were like at awe with what he had to say, and certainly it must have sank in. They played a tremendous game.
It certainly has to be ring a bell with some of these guys that somebody apparently asked him what his biggest regret was in his NBA career, and that was not winning the 12th championship because he was hurt.
Well, if Bill had recouped, maybe I would have gotten a chance to
That's right.
with that 12th
That's right.
run. Absolutely.
All right, let's talk about last night's game. A big performance throughout for the Celtics in the second half, but particularly from the bench. It was one of the bench's better games of the year, and they were led by Dana Barros, a total of 35 points from the bench last night.
Well, Dana has been the recipient of a lot of good plays in this system. He's added the drive to his game, which has opened up his outside shot. He's one of our better players in terms of using that pick. And by him shooting so well, all the players are looking to set picks for him.
Well, the other thing is, and we'll see if it continues tonight, but the Celtics have had these spurts this year where they've played well and played cohesively for one game at a time or one quarter at a time for small spurts, but not for long spurts. So that's what they're trying to do now.
Well, I think they're starting to, as individuals, understand what they need to do in order to have consistency out on the floor. Certainly Antoine has. The bench is starting to come on. Individual players are starting to feel a little bit more comfortable. So hopefully that will carry over into tonight's game.
All right, real quickly before we let you go, JoJo, our Foxwoods keys to the game brought to you, as always, by Foxwoods Resort and Casino. We've talked a lot about Vince Carter tonight. He had a big game against the Celtics last time.
He's an awesome player. Rookie, you have to control him. The power dunks, the breakaways, you have to contain him.
Defense was good last night. They'll be looking for more of the same tonight.
Yep, we have to contest every shot. Toronto's team has beat us twice now, so we've got to get up on people and contest every shot.
And finally, hey, why not take some advice from a guy who has 11 rings, right?
Well, hey, he's been there. He knows exactly what he's talking about, and certainly passed that wisdom on down to us. Defense does win championships.
All right, JoJo, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in. The game is coming up very shortly from Toronto. The Celtics and the Raptors. We're coming right back after this. Don't go away. Well, we are happy to tell you that after tonight's game, the Celtics will have a 5-game homestand. And after tonight's game, we'd also like to tell you that if you're with us on the flagships, WABU in Boston, WNBU in New Hampshire, or WZBU on the Cape, be sure and stay with us for 68 Sports Night. Dual host tonight for the first time ever, John Holt and Paul Devlin. The game is coming up next. Stay with us.